Greetings, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Sudds-R-Us Podcast, hosted by Irene and Ben Sudderth Jr. Normally, I would bow to my left, but my co-host is out today, so let's keep her in your prayers. That's what happens when you got grandkids in school. You know, no telling what they're going to come home with. But we're just thankful to God that we're able to come before you once again today. This is our 27th episode, and we're in our second season. So we're just excited about another opportunity to bring to you God-provoking, mind-percolating, creative content. And we come to you every single week around the concepts of the circle of love, where we focus on God, marriage, family, and life. Well, this week, we're going to focus on God/life. And we're talking about all things sports. Now, last week was on God/marriage, and it was God's spiritual and literary greatness. We had one of our guest classmates back from Emeryville, California, in the Bay Area, Pastor Derek, and we had Minister Kathy on. But right now, we're just excited about who God is blessing us with. We got some excited guests on today. And I tell you, we got some individual brothers that is blowing up the podcasting world. They're just on fire. And so we're excited about having them on. One we've known for almost 39 years. And that's our son, the one and only. I always use his government name, Benjamin Franklin Sudderth III. And we have a brother that we've known for over 2 years, Hyatt. And this is one of our goals, you know, as podcasters, is to give those who starting out, or even those who have been in their profession or ministry or business for many years, a platform to share their calling and express their gifts. Let me just take care of a couple housekeeping items. We thank you for joining. You can find Sudds-R-Us on Facebook. You can find us on IG, Twitter, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And please feel free to like when we like for you to share your comments, and we're going to give you an opportunity to share whatever you feel like sharing, and please do so. There's our email address on the bottom there. You can email us and share with us on today. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to have our guests introduce themselves. And we're going to start off with just give us a little brief introduction and where you're going as far as your direction and your podcast, and how God has blessed you with this podcast, and something that you would like to share along those lines. Let's start off with Trey. I normally say BS3, Mr. Podcaster himself, Ben.
Yep, no problem. So my name's Ben Sudderth III. My dad is Junior. People wonder, where does BS3 come from? That's where it comes from. Ben Sudderth III. That's where BS3 came from. Been podcasting since 2015. Just got into it as a hobby, something that I enjoyed. I enjoyed talking about sports. It's evolved into different things. BS3 Radio, like you can see the logo behind, started in 2019. And I really love doing this, and also just helping people get into podcasting. Some people think it may be hard to do. It's really not that hard, especially with all the technology now. It's you can do it with your phone. So, and I'll always love coming on my parents' show. And you know, throughout these years, I've ran into so many different people. Some people are on BS3 Radio now. Some people, we continue to talk, and like this community. That's one thing that I'm so appreciative of, is that this community of podcasters, you get to know people for years and years as they continue to grow, what they're doing new. So kind of the future of BS3 Radio is just continuing to grow, continuing to also go into the video side. So using a lot of YouTube, also just continuing to find different avenues to make this grow, and also to make it lucrative. Eventually, that would be the ultimate dream, is to do this full time. So that's what it is.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Yes, we're all in that, traveling that same direction, and hopefully we can get where you are. Now, our other guest, he's known as Al Hyatt. But first of all, I just want to ask him, if he don't mind, we're just curious. Me and my co-host is what Al stands for. I give my son government name on the podcast line. So please, what does Al stand for as you introduce yourself and what got you in the podcasting business? Or give us your full name if you don't mind.
All right, so government name is Anthony Lee Hygh.
Okay.
So Anthony meaning priceless. Funny story, my middle name Lee came from my great grandfather. His name was Lee Andrew Lester, and he was a well-known African Methodist pastor in Louisiana. And every male in the family has the middle name Lee, or as the first name. So Al started when I was about 3 or 4 years old from my grandfather's wife. She just passed away a couple weeks ago, and she started calling me Al. So everybody on that side in Texas and California always called me Al. My other family called me Anthony. So years and years later, fast forward to 2016, 2017, I switched jobs. I started working at CarMax, and there was another Anthony that was there, and he came out the rip and said, "No, we're not about to have no mix-ups. No, you need a different name. I'm Anthony here. You're." I said, "Okay." I didn't like the name Tony, so I said, "Well, let's go with Al." I said, "Let's keep it short and sweet." So that's why I brought Al back, and then people who knew me as Anthony kept messing my name up, calling me Andrew and Andre, and I'm like, "How can you mess that up?" I said, "Let me go ahead and simplify this for everybody." So I began to adapt the name Al, and I began bringing that back on my social media. I still go by government. That's my government name, Anthony Lee. But let's simplify this thing down to Al High. And I've been, to answer the question, I've been podcasting since 2019. Started with the Casual Hyghlight podcast, which has now grown out into the YouTube circuit, and started doing more videos, being comfortable with being in front of the camera. And I brought back the DYSrespect Your Senses podcast because God kept placing that on my heart to do, about being transparent and telling your story and testimony and just keeping it 100, asking the question why. Many people ask the question why. Believers, non-believers, we ask every day why and what's really going on.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's good. So I was wrong because I told my wife Irene, I said he looks like an Alvin.
Alvin. One of my mentors called me. He play around with me. He's like, "Man, what's up, Alvin?" I'm like,
I didn't look like Alvin, but I was wrong. But thank you for sharing that. We're just excited. Also, what God is doing in your life. So basically, brothers, we're going to go a different direction. I know we normally talk about sports and with sports teams, and we're excited that college football started today and NFL is starting next month. We're going to let y'all handle those discussions. We're going to go in a little different direction, and we're going to start off with, you both are PKs, and we can start out with Trey. You know, what age, if you remember, what age did I become a pastor? How old were you when I became a pastor, and how do you feel? Did you feel different from other children in the church or in school? And once you're done, Al, you can handle that same question.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember the age. I know I was in, I don't know, I think I was in high school for sure. So I do know that part. I'm gonna say maybe 16 possibly was about the age. I did feel different because when you're a preacher's kid, you feel like the eyes are on you, even if you're at the church or not at the church. Right. But I mean, I felt like I was always pretty much a good kid, and we were involved in church, so it didn't change dramatically, but it did kind of make me think like you should be moving in a straighter path because of how you want to represent your family. Okay. So I think that was kind of the atmosphere that I had. But it was yeah, it was having my sisters as well. I thought that was good because we could always conversate, but we were definitely seen differently in the church because it's like, oh, you're a part of that family, and if we did anything wrong, it would be like, well, they're doing that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was kind of my experience.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't feel much of a difference or didn't realize anything until probably my freshman year in high school, when there was upperclassmen who wanted to beat me up. But then I had that PK card came in, and my mom was helping out with the football dinner and prayed and did the opening prayer. And a couple of days, like a week later, the guy who wanted to beat me up, he came back and said, "Hey man, if your mama wasn't a pastor, I'll beat your head in right now." But because of that, and then I was like, okay, there is something different about me. And so I did feel a little bit different, but because my mom was the youth pastor, it wasn't at the time. It wasn't, I didn't feel any different until probably looking back later on. It was like, whoa, there was a big difference, and people did see something different about. I felt a little bit. I was like, this is why I felt out of place a little bit because of that, and certain things I was invited to, and certain things I wasn't. But I didn't realize that till years later. And so my mom tried to keep me in as much as, because she was a youth pastor, that kind of helped the normalcy out a little bit, but people still knew it was a difference about me.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, so we're going to continue on with you, Al. How did you get connected with Ben, BS3 Radio?
So it was back in 2019. I started prepping for the NBA finals, and I was doing some research on podcasting, and I said, I want to take this thing to a different level. And I remember writing stuff down, putting stuff on my Facebook page for the NBA finals and predictions and different things of that nature. And Rapture Ready Productions, one of my Facebook friends, the guy I went to Bible college with, he put a post, he linked me to a post about they were looking for sports people to report sports. And at the time I was nervous about it. I said, man, I'm not ready yet. I want to, get into the podcasting world in that level, and then be on different networks and doing it. So I didn't jump at the opportunity, but then I did see a post that Ben Sudderth III BS3 Radio was going to be doing the sports podcasting, and then he put a link out. I want to say that August, about if anybody wanted to join the BS3 Radio family with sports and stuff, come shoot me an invite, a message. So I just shot him a message and said, hey, I'm interested in joining and coming on board. I have a show out there named The Casual Hyghlight. I'd love to be on your platform. He said, yeah, come on in. And so ever since then, I've been a part of the family, of the BS3 family, and just learning and getting better every day. Learning different things that Ben knows. He's passing it down to all of us, for all of us to get better. Encouragement, just to check on you, see how you're doing. It's more than just podcasting. It's not just about sports. It's about life. It's about what's going on in the world. It's about prayer. It's BS3 is a well-rounded network, more than just the business. The business is the 10%, but it's about building the relationships within within our group. Right.
Well, we can definitely attest to that. I mean, we're enjoying the relationship as well. And yeah, I mean, it's good to see the good mornings and how you doing today. And he truly cares about his podcast. And that's something that's really unique, especially now, in this time and day that we live in, because we just hosted a brother who's started at Morehouse. And we all know that's Ben's alma mater. And that's one of the things the parents said, you guys are different than most people. Mm-hmm. Most people wouldn't open up their home, wouldn't allow you to send stuff to their home that you never met. So yes, we can definitely attest to that. And we're excited that you're a part of the family as well. So you noted it, how he signed you on. So we're going to go to Trey, to Ben. And when you sign podcasters and they join BS3 Radio, I mean, how is that process? What do you do, and what do you require? And you have to have a resume. You do a background check. I mean,
We don't go that far, but I mean, I do kind of ask questions. What's the podcast about? There's a fee that we do require. That's a monthly fee, but also we open the door to sponsors. So we use a platform called Fiverr, and as people say, "Hey, I want this promoted," that allows the podcaster to get some financial benefit for joining. But also, I mean, I'm an open door. So if there are any questions that they have about podcasting, my phone is always available. If I'm not, Al can attest to this, and even other people. If I can't answer the phone, I'll call you back. But I'm an open book to help you. So kind of the process is people reach out.
Okay.
I say, hey, what is it? What's your podcast about? When are you looking to start? What platforms are you already on? Are you on any platforms? Because that's another thing. I help people get their podcasts out to all these different platforms that they may not already be on. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to over duplicate if you already have your podcast out there. And then from there, send them the contract. They look it over, see if it's something they want to do, and we get running from there.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Al, you mentioned earlier how you're doing additional work on YouTube, and and we listened, to one of your recent videos entitled "Spirit of Excellence," and we just love your testimony, and we just elated about how outstanding and transparent you are when you talk about your journey and the path and the path you were on. I remember your episode about your mom, and so just tell us a little bit about that, how you grew from mainly the sports podcast and now into the spiritual arena. I know you said you went to seminary, so I'm not sure if you're a ordained minister or not, but share with us some of that, please.
So I actually was in ministry went to ministry about 23, 24. I was at a non-denominational church for several years, and then I left out of the non-denominational church. In between there, I went to Bible college for several years, Hope Bible Institute out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And when I graduated from HBI, I wanted to do something more than just bringing the word. I wanted to bring forth, something that I enjoy talking about, to bring people to God. And right. So that's when, and I believe sports was that arena to bring people together. And so I was like, well, let's talk about sports and let's just talk about life. But as we notice in what's going on with the climate of everything that has happened, we've had more intersections of life more recently than even things with sports. And so actually, before the casual highlight, I had the podcast Disrespect Your Senses, but I had turned it off, put on the back burner, and so many people were just like blessed by it. And I remember this was in April of this year. I just got a word like, hey, bring Disrespect Your Senses back, because people really need to hear this word. And I kept feeling the unction to just bring it back. And I kept getting stuff in my prayer from even other people would just call, hey, what is God telling you to do with this other show? And so, because at one time I wanted to bring both together, but I felt like God was leading me to go a different way with this Disrespect Your Senses. So I was like, if I bring this back, I need to be transparent. I need to be honest. Sometimes it might be raw and uncut, but it's coming in love. It's coming from my heart. And so when I began to bring it out, one of the first things I could say with Spirit of Excellence is being obedient to the voice. Sometimes you might not understand it. Sometimes you might not like it, but being obedient to what is being said and what you're feeling. And that takes a lot of meditation.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of time sitting with yourself. Sometimes I had to literally sit down with myself these last 12 to 18 months and really just sit down and really just sit and meditate and really just truly think, because we have so many things going on that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so with the Disrespect Your Senses and just telling the testimony, being a preacher's kid, so many people, so much response from people I hadn't heard from in years, texting me, shooting me text, hey man, that really blessed me. And it's like, okay, this is God. Okay, I see where you're taking me, God, with this. I see what you're doing. And even with that, we still, with Spirit of Excellence, it's still an order of doing stuff, because we're supposed to be kingdom minded, we're supposed to be kingdom citizens, supposed to be kingdom believers, and you know, people say, well, it's a Christian business, support Christian business, support Black owned business. Mm-hmm. Okay, but if you up in there cutting up and your customer service sucks, you have no people skills, we're not going to come support that. We're not going to come bring our hard-earned dollars to come support you while you chewing on your gum. And looking at my mom and interviewing these different people from these churches and where she's been at, and the excellence and where she walked, I could easily, if I call somebody today and said, hey, use my government name, but they know me by now, say, hey, this is Anthony, I need help with something, they would drop everything and help me, because my mom, because of the way she walked and her walk and how she walked with excellence and everything that she did. And that's where the Spirit, when I was sitting there in the library just thinking and meditating and putting things together, that's where the Spirit of Excellence came about, like just as a reminder that we are the kingdom and we need to be walking in excellence. Like people are, if we're saying that we're bringing people to God, so they're looking for something different than what the world is. And if we are looking trashy and not have our stuff together and not have our stuff have professionalism, then why would they want to say, well, why would they want to be part of this kingdom of God? Why would they want to do that? So it was just a reminder, hey, you know, walking in your calling, walking in excellence, walking in everything that you do, it needs to be some form of excellence with it.
Wow. Thank you. I mean, that's awesome how you followed, you know, God's direction, because we know obedience is better than sacrifice. And you were obedient to God's word and you were willing to step out, especially as a young man. I mean, that's commendable. And we just, you know, so excited about, I know Trey's excited about the Christian podcast that he had, that we can share not only things about life, but also we can promote the gospel and spread the gospel and let others know there's a way, you know, to salvation. You know, when I was thinking about our title about all things sports, I don't know if you can read, you know, my shirt, but it says Bomb Invitational. Because when I was in the secular world, I worked for a company called Northwest Financial, and that's how I learned how to, well, not play golf, but I was introduced to the actual sport of golf from being in the corporate world, and that gives us an opportunity to not only discuss different business tactics and closing techniques and promoting our business, but sports is also a good avenue when it comes to spreading the gospel and also looking at the different techniques that we can use, that athletes use, different metaphors when it comes to sports. So thank you for that testimony. We enjoy your show, and we're just excited. Thank you. All right, Trey. Now we're not going to talk about sports teams, but I still have some sports questions for you, because we know that all in sports. So what was your favorite sports team? Not your favorite sports team now. We know your favorite sports team now. and we hear enough about them. You know? But when you were growing up, what was your favorite sports team, and what was your favorite sport playing growing up? It can be little league, middle school, high school, college, whatever you like to share.
Yep. So my favorite sports teams, the Tar Heels, North Carolina Tar Heels will always be. That's why you see blue. Anything you see BS3 Radio, you'll see that hint of Carolina blue, because it has to be in there. So obviously Carolina for everything college. Football was the 49ers. And that was, you know, the heyday of the 49ers.
Right.
The A's for baseball. And basketball, it was the Bulls. I mean, just Jordan was my favorite. I still think he's the GOAT in basketball. Obviously that, and to me, the GOAT is the conversation of era, because it depends on when you grew up and when you were watching it. But I played Little League baseball. That was my passion. I had dreams of playing Major League Baseball. Then when I got to high school and I was like, oh, these guys are throwing like 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. I'm like, I'm barely hitting the 40 mile an hour pitch that little Jimmy is pitching. So I don't know about hitting basically big league pitching. I did play high school basketball, JV. Didn't play football. I really thought about it and wanted to, but just never did it. But so that's kind of my journey throughout sports.
Okay. Al, what about you?
So my journey a little similar to Ben, a little bit mix of things. I was born in Louisiana, so I was actually started out as a Saints fan. But then when we moved to Kansas City, when I was 7 years old, we couldn't get the Saints game. So everything was Kansas City Chiefs this, Kansas City Chiefs that, KU basketball, let me see, Royals baseball. But I had a love for, still have a heart for the New Orleans Saints, but I'm diehard Kansas City Chiefs fan. And I'm happy now. Both of my teams got some bowl rings now, so we good. I didn't have a favorite like professional NBA team growing up, but as far as baseball, I'm a huge. I still love the Chicago Cubs. Okay. And then watching the Atlanta Braves was number 2. And then the Royals, the Royals were just awful. Like every year, they were just awful. And then they have a fire sale and sell the best players, and then they go get World Series rings. That's a whole different story as well. But as far as playing sports, I didn't start playing sports till 7th grade. My love was always basketball, then football, and then moving around, going to different schools. And I didn't end up. I played baseball briefly, but I was not that good at it. And they kept me in the outfield. They kept me as the last hitter. And then everybody would celebrate when I would catch the ball in the outfield. He caught it. Like, yeah, he's supposed to catch the ball. Everybody was excited. Like, man. So I played. It was called Babe Ruth League when I played in it for like the teens and headed into high school. Mm-hmm. I did run track, JV track. I was a manager for the varsity basketball team. I played football in college. I walked on, and I was getting ready to be a wide receiver. And I went through a couple of days of practice, and then I found out my girlfriend at the time was pregnant with my child. So I ended up backing away from it and letting it go. Okay. But that was my last time playing sports. But I did play on the college level. Trained with him, ran with him, and I mean, we got in shape. I couldn't eat hamburgers and fries no more. And a friend of mine who was on the team is like, bro, you can't be eating these burgers like this, man. You gonna feel it on that 40. So I'll be all right. This is easy. And then after that third wind sprint, I'm like, I said, you right, bro. I ain't doing that. But that's a little bit of my sports journey.
Oh, okay. So to be transparent, we know. Trey mentioned he's a Tar Heel fan. Well, I was born and raised in North Carolina, so he couldn't help but to be a Tar Heels fan because that's all he heard about from me. And growing up, we didn't have the Panthers, so I basically rooted for either the Atlanta Hawks or the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, then when MJ went to Chicago, of course, my allegiance followed MJ. So I went to Chicago as a Chicago Bulls fan. And so now I can kind of understand how we have some fans that have their allegiance to LeBron James. Wherever LeBron can go, that's where they go. I can understand that a little bit. So I've experienced that as well. And you come to the football end of it, we didn't have the Panthers, so we didn't have the Hornets, so we had to either be especially growing up in North Carolina, you were either Redskins fan or Cowboys fan. And I grew up a Washington football team fan, which is Redskins. So that's why me and my son battle now, because I've always had a problem with those Cowboys. So he decided to go that way. But the interesting thing about it, me and the wife was talking, and we're here in Atlanta, and we was like, we left the Bay Area. I mean, we won a championship just about every other year, either the Giants or the A's or the 49ers, or then the Warriors started winning in the 20. the 2000s, the 20 teens, so we've always, celebrated. We always had a parade, so now we're here where it's been a drought for over 50 years in Atlanta, so we don't know what we're going to be able to experience here. So we're going to stay. That's why
they got about as close as they could when they were up 28-3. You're not getting that close again.
There you go. You're not getting that close again. And Trae Young is looking pretty good, so we'll see what they can do now in basketball. So let's keep going. Oh, you guys got some great answers for these questions. So who is your greatest inspiration? Let's go to, we just finished with Al. Let's go to Trae. Who was your greatest inspiration growing up? Now, it could be sports. It could be someone in family. It can be educational, spiritual. Who was your greatest inspiration growing up?
I would say this is easy. It was you. I mean, sports related. You were the one that took me to all the games, practicing, hitting, basketball, whatever I was involved in. You were vital in it. So I would say you, obviously, number one, because you were there helping and being active and everything. I would say Dean Campbell. If anybody went to Emory High, they remember Dean Campbell with the short the bicycle shorts. But he in basketball. I mean, I was on JV. I was like the 8th, the 11th or 12th guy. So I mean, I didn't get a lot of playing time or whatever. But he was also very vocal. Now, when I think back, just on, hey, if you want to do this, just continue to stick around. And I somehow won an award. I don't remember what that award was, but I somehow won an award just because I didn't give up and I didn't quit.
Right.
So I would say those were two big inspirations. Obviously, Jordan. Anything Jordan related, he was great at. And then when he went to play baseball and he came back and everything, just seeing his story, being that he played for North Carolina, he's always been an inspiration. So I'll say those three. Okay.
What about you, Al?
I first have to say is my mother, because when you have a rare form of type of cancer that she had, multiple myeloma, and to come back and minister and then be transparent of what you do and go to church and give to the people, but the prayer life that she had, getting up early in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and seeing her pray and then give out and then give to me. Most importantly, the first ministry that a pastor or a minister or anybody in ministry has is their family, and then go and serve the other people. And then the giving spirit that she had, that was the first inspiration to me. The second inspiration that came to my mind was, people might not like this one I'm about to say, but it was Bill Cosby. I watched the Cosby Show faithfully. I was still watching episodes. It went off in 92 when I was 6 years old, but I was still watching reruns. I was still pretty much watching every episode on Nick at Night when it was on there, TV Land, BET, wherever it was, Amazon Prime. I was still watching those episodes because of how he dealt with his family, because of what, going to HBCU school, raising 5 kids, being a doctor, married to a lawyer. I think a lot of black men, let's be real, wanted to be like Cliff Huxtable, Heathcliff Huxtable, and how he dealt with different situations, was able to sit down and talk with his kids. And I do that now. There was times I used to be angry, but I was like, hold on, let me work on this calmness, and let me take a deep breath and huff and puff and look at him, the different ways he dealt with his kids when they were out of order, and then showing them love, and then showing them real life. Right. And that was a second inspiration. And then I had a bunch of scout leaders from Independence, Kansas to Lenexa, Kansas. Those and teachers as well. Those are my inspirations, because they, especially and I gotta call them this out, Independence. That was a community that rallied around me and my mother when we didn't have family, and those people came in and gave to us when we didn't have at the time. There was men in my troop that I was in. I was the only African American black in the troop, but you had a lot of the scout masters that came and told my mother, "Hey, he's going to be okay. We got Anthony covered. We got his back," and they were there to pour into me. You know, took me on campouts, invested into me going on different trips. They were the ones to do that. Even in Lenexa, I had the youth people come and were inspirations to me as well. So Bill Cosby, my mom, and then the community was third.
Okay. So it's kind of interesting. You mentioned Scouts, because we did a podcast, episode 26, and we talked about dealing with the pains of the past. And one of my pains that I mentioned that I had to deal with was how the Lord, called my father home when I was only 23 years old. And just like Trey, my father taught me everything, how to play ball, how to fish, how to shoot a gun, box derby, how to build a car, how to work on cars. He just taught me everything. And when he felt with cancer and the Lord called him home, I was in California. So it really was a traumatic episode for me, because I couldn't be there while he was battling cancer. And that's why, Ben is the third, because it's actually named after him and not me. But you mentioned sports. Every time we go home, and we've been going home a lot recently. And that's because of either, appreciation services or homegoing services. And there's always a young man that comes up to me and said, your daddy was my Cub Scout leader. And he had us marching. We marched all the way to Newton. Newton is like 15 miles from Hickory. And he would have us stand up in that hot sun at attention, and he would have us marching. But to me, that's just like what Al just mentioned. That's the inspiration that a lot of the young men, receive from scout leaders. And my father was one of those scout leaders. And it's still stick to these young men, even but they're not young men now. Now they're in their 40s and 50s, and they're still, it's like it was yesterday. Yeah, I tell you, he had us marching. There's always somebody coming up to me, so I can understand how you feel and how important it is to have someone, in your life, especially dealing with scouts, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. Okay, so now we're back to Trey. Now, far as you mentioned your inspiration, and you also mentioned the teacher was kind of a mentor to you. I don't know if you had any other coaches or anyone like that you'd like to mention, or we can go to the next question.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
There was a gentleman. He was my baseball coach growing up. I'm drawing a blank right now on his name, but he was an accountant. He was a Kappa. So
right,
I played for the team. Name of the team was Kappas.
Right.
It was kind of like a minor and a major. Ralph Grant, thank you. I believe that's my mom that's commenting there. Ralph Grant. Yeah, he was. He kind of showed, aside from my father, showed me a really good example of what it is to be a man. He helped me throughout baseball, and also somebody that I even met and talked to, I think when I was in high school or in college, and he was even inspirational in me getting my MBA. I did it in human resource management. Mm-hmm. He was like, you don't want to do it in the same field that you did your BA in. So he was very vital, and I learned a lot from him, baseball and life. And so, yeah, I would definitely say Ralph Grant was that other person.
Okay. Anyone else you'd like to add, Al?
So I'm going to give a shout out to this. 8th grade was like one of the best years of my life in school. So I talked to 2 of these teachers over the summer, but there was Craig Knoll, Scott Webb, Keith Confer, and I can't pronounce her name. I think it's Mrs. Rink. Those are my favorite teachers from 8th grade. If we understand what 8 is new beginning. Right. And also, if you're somebody who flies, 8 is the holding pattern. So between starting the new beginning and the holding pattern, they was really getting us ready for life. And they challenged me. They stretched me. They also went to my church as well. So I couldn't get away with nothing. I had, especially my history teacher, Mr. Knoll. He gave me that look. He said, "I'm gonna go tell your mama, you want me to go tell your mama? I'm gonna go tell her. And I said, all right, listen, man, you ain't gotta say nothing else. So those four that come to mind right now was my absolute favorite. I had a bunch of other favorites, but that 8th grade set I will never forget.
Oh, okay. Great. Let me just take this moment. I want to thank those who are tuning in. Ramona, thank her for tuning in. She says, good afternoon, Al. And also this name, I'm not going to try to pronounce. It's a P-A-N-A-G-I-O-T-I-C. Dimentus. Maybe that's one of you guys' followers.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. He's tuning in from Greece.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a Greece name. Then I'm not, like at the Kupo. I practice Gianna's name.
Oh yeah, everybody had to practice that name.
But he said, "Good afternoon, everyone from Greece," and of course, my co-host, she's chiming in. Even though she's a little ill, she's feeling better. She gets perked up when it comes to podcast Saturday. So thank God for that. She's able to hear. So we're going to move on. Now, this may be a kind of challenging question. I don't know if Ben still remembers, but who is the most famous athlete? It can be a relative, a friend, or a classmate that you know. Famous, the most famous, not someone that, played college ball. And the most famous athlete that's your relative, friend, or classmate.
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I would say Samuel Davis.
Okay.
That played, I believe he played for the Angels at one point, or he was in the system. I would probably say that's the relative that I know of that I could send him a message or talk to him. There may be some others, but I would say that's probably the famous relative I can, or probably or classmate. I had one that played for Nevada in college, but that's probably it. Okay.
Well, we figured you were not going to remember, so I didn't want to give you heads up. But Jobo was on the Untouchables, right? The Untouchables. Right. That's the Al probably heard about them. That's the Ridgeview High, the segregated high school in Hickory, North Carolina. They went undefeated, unscored on. And Ridgeview High School was one of the most prominent high schools in the state when during the segregation era. They always won championships. But Jobo was your cousin. But there was another cousin on that team. They call him Baby Bruh. He was your cousin. He went and played for the Minnesota Vikings. He went to the University of Minnesota. You remember?
I know where you're going there. Thompson,
right.
John Thompson.
Right. So he was on that team, the Untouchables team. Went to the University of Minnesota, and he played for the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, Al, who you got?
So as far as in my family that I know of right now, I could not think of anybody that has made it like to the top level professionally in athletics. I did have people like that I grew up with out here. I had one guy actually guarded him in the post. I used to get dunked on in practice. He ended up playing at Nebraska. There was an athlete from the same high school that came 3 or 4 years before me named Matt Hygh. Matt Hygh went to Vanderbilt and had a couple years in the NBA. There was, when I lived in Independence, there was a player by the name of Ruben Patterson. And Ruben Patterson actually, was a Kobe stopper. He went to Independence Community College. So those are they're not my relatives, but those people who I played in the same gym, I practiced in the same gym around or with that I knew. But as far as like family members, no. And I might get a history lesson tonight from a cousin or something. Say, hey, this is something that you might want to check out. Right. I'll say, okay, I'll put it on a future podcast. Okay.
I remember Ruben Patterson though. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, in full disclosure now, John Thompson is on Ben's mother's side, so it's not on my side. So just full disclosure. But I just want to put my experience in. In high school, I played against. We was in the same conference with James Worthy. We went to Granite Falls, and one of us was in the same conference with Sleepy Floyd.
Oh.
So we played against them, Sleepy Floyd, and James Worthy in high school. I was a senior, and James Worthy was a freshman, and he was dunking all over us.
Wow, I didn't know that there was the age difference there. He was a freshman at that point.
He was a freshman, and I was a senior, and he was dunking all over us. So that's one of the things I can remember. So we're about to wrap it up. Got a couple more questions, and I'll let you guys go. Really appreciate you being transparent and opening us with us. So let's look at far as you got into podcasting, and a lot of you, or both of you, started out with sports, but now you kind of ventured off. And you kind of touched on this earlier. I don't know if you want to add something to this, but the reason you got into sports, I know Al kind of mentioned that he saw it as an avenue not only to report on athletics and the teams, but also minister. There was some ministry opportunities there as well. So we'll start with you, Al. Anything you want to add to that as far as you created your podcast on the topics of sports?
And with anything you start with, I believe we have so many gifts on the inside of us that we start with one thing and then you realize, wow, I could talk about this or I could talk about that. Our goal is we must fully live out your purpose and dying empty. And many of us, we just stick with one or two things and we really haven't fully experienced everything that God has given us. I didn't realize I had a writing ability to write, to be a writer. I'm writing a book now. I never thought about I would write a book. But I'm writing a book now, getting notes. I never thought about I'd be a podcaster, but I'm podcasting. I never wanted to do YouTubing, and now I'm into doing YouTube stuff. I got so many other things that I'm working to release, and I thought I'd never be going back to school right now, and I'm going back to school again to finish up my business degree. So you never know with one thing. It's like, put it like this: a couple of weeks ago, my pastor shared something online because he was going through some things, and how to get to one area with things that you want to do, God will ask you to do something else and bring both together to get to that area, to get to that bridge. He said, before you here, I want you to do a pit stop right here and do this. And you never know if you don't first get in the vehicle and go to where you want to go. And I believe God will allow that to happen, to get in the vehicle to where you want to go. And then he said, oh, before you get to your goal, I want you to go over here. I understand the desires of your heart, but I want you to stop right here. I want you to pick up this bag of chips, or I want you to pick this particular person up while you're there, talk to them. And then while you're headed there, I want you to bring them along with you. So you just never know what that might happen, where you might go. So just using everything that God is giving you and emptying out all the gifts. If you look at in the world right now, the two richest places is the cemetery and the jail system.
Wow.
So many. We talk about the cemetery. The cemetery has a bunch of ideas, but the jail cell as well has a bunch of people who are stuck in there for life and cannot bring, greatness to the atmosphere because of where they're stuck at. And so we have the opportunity and blessed and fortunate to use different avenues of podcasting and YouTubing to bring different messages and make the world a better place. The question is, are you using what God has given you?
Right. Right. That's deep. I know my co-host said, preach. I'm telling you.
Yeah. You bring them two chairs down the front.
You ready to open up the doors of the church. That's what Trey's friend, his pastor friend, did last week. Yeah. He opened up the doors and did the invitation to discipleship. I said, go ahead, Pastor Derek. All right. What about you, Trey?
So I never really thought I was going to do a podcast. Somebody invited me on one to talk North Carolina football, which is probably a handful of people that can talk about that. But but just the passion I have for sports came from my dad. And so that was pretty much evident that it was going to be on sports, because that's probably one of the things that I can just talk about endless for hours. So, I mean, like that was kind of was a shoe-in that was the topic I was going to touch on.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to wind it up here. We try not to go too long. We want to keep the interest of everybody. So now we're going to go to sports, and we're going to ask a question regarding what's going on now in the sports world. And it can be collegiate or it can be professional. But Al, what is something that you dislike or something you disagree most regarding what's going on today in sports?
I love the fact that we're finally realizing the worth of the athlete is more than just a college degree and a diploma.
Okay.
And I love the fact of, being able that people are able to be educated a little bit better than what they were before. Okay. What I don't like is sometimes we don't have the facts of everything. And before we get excited and want to send out a tweet or post a message about something, we don't have the facts, and we haven't been, and that's just us as people or athletes don't have. They're so excited to send a picture or something, and they don't have the full facts, or they don't know the effect of what that will do when they send it out. That's what I don't like about sports right now.
All right. And Trey?
I would say I got two. Number one is flopping, and this is specifically basketball. I cannot stand it, but I got to say this. The problem is with the refs, because if James Harden does that 50 times a game, right, the ref just keeps calling it, the blame has to also go on them. But you got so many. You can go on any social media and you'll see LeBron going like this, and the guy's hand is here. Or to me, that diminishes the game. So that is annoying. Okay. The other thing I would say is with college. Now, college is getting better to finally understanding, but the amount of money that these college athletes make for the school, normally this stat was astronomical. I didn't even know, but most of the time the highest state paid employee is the football coach in that city or in that state. So it's not even it's not the governor or even the mayor or whatever. So I think they're starting to finally come to it. But if you look at football coaches, they can up and leave and tell the team, I'm staying. The prime example was the guy from Tom Herman that went to Texas. He literally did an interview before or after the bowl game. They were like, so are you leaving? And he was like, well, obviously you knew he was leaving. Right. But that affects the kids, because if that coach leaves and now they can't recruit, and so people aren't going to come there, that could diminish what the kid can do in the future. So I think college is finally getting there. I don't think they're necessarily all the way there yet, but you definitely need to pay them for their likeness, because they're the ones making the money. The AD is not making money for the school, and most of the time neither is the coach, because you just hear about the coach if something goes wrong. So.
Right. Yeah, true. I agree. Great answers. Wow. Last one, and then we'll close out. And we're going to speak this into existence. Owning of a sports franchise. Starting with you, Al, which would be the one you would like to own and why?
I would like a cycling team.
Okay.
Just something. Do something different, put the imprint of African Americans in cycling. That's one of my little side things I enjoy watching. I enjoyed watching the Tour de France, even though Lance got caught up. I watch cycling because of Lance Armstrong, and still follow it to this day. I had a bike, I had a helmet, I was into that type of stuff. So I would love to understand the sport of cycling, and one day actually own my own cycling team.
Oh, wow. Great. What about you?
I like that.
Yeah.
So NBA already has a black owner. The NFL does not. They have minority owners, but they don't have a black owner. So I would say I would want to own the Cowboys, because they just this obviously, headlining news, obviously this ownership has not won anything in the past 10 to 15 years. I don't know the exact number. So I would say that, and I would also say the Rangers, because I don't think there's a black owner in baseball either. And I think you can kind of package those, kind of be a package deal, because something me and my college and high school friends talked about was like owning a team, and that would be great. We could partner together, or even if BS3 Radio owned the team. So I mean, those are the two.
There you go. All right.
The Rangers haven't won anything. They've been close, and I think they're now going through a rebuild. But I would say package those two together and see what we can make happen.
Okay, all right. We'll see if Jerry's gonna be willing to sell. We don't know.
Well, Jerry's gonna have to pass away in order for anything to happen.
Well, thank you guys. This has been a great show. I really appreciate it. My co-host appreciates it. She's under the weather, but she's just grinning ear to ear. She's so proud of you guys. So please tell us where we can find you and what else you're doing. Anything else you want to promote? Let's go with Al first.
You can find me on Instagram, Al_Hygh, Twitter, Al Hygh, and Facebook right now, my Al Hygh. And currently I'm doing you can find my YouTube channel, Casual Hyghlight. That's HYGHLIGHT. Got a recent video I just put up there about my high five dealing with Sha'Carri Richardson and 5 people that she needs to have discussions with in order to get to to a championship level. Also, you can find my stuff, Disrespect Your Senses podcast, currently up at BS3radio.com. Also, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.
All right. And we like that cap on your head, man. When we going?
Yeah. So if you would like to I have a limited amount of caps right now. Please inbox me at on my Facebook, Al Hygh, or on Instagram, and Al_Hygh, and I'll get some shipping and stuff set up for you, give you a price and get some shipping, and we'll go from there.
All right.
So the store will be coming pretty soon. I am working on that right now as we speak.
And we also commend you on writing your book. We're in the process of writing a book as well. So when that gets completed, let us know. We'll be glad to have you on to discuss that. And I think you were the one. We were on with Trey, BS3 Sports, and we said we were thinking about doing a podcast, and my wife said it was Al said, just do it. Just go ahead and do it. And then we know Trey was always there to support us and encourage us as well. So now we're working on our book, The Circle of Love, as well. So go ahead, son. I'm gonna go ahead and do a shameless plug here. I got your coach email right there on the bottom. Go ahead.
Appreciate that. So BS3 Radio, everywhere on social media, BS3 Radio, BS3radio.com. You can find my parents' podcast, Al's podcast, all the other podcasts that we have. Also, all the YouTube content, you can find it on there, social media. Also, I'm a podcast coach. So if you're looking to get into podcasting, go to that link down below. I will walk you through every single step. I'm not going to send you a booklet and tell you to look over it. I'm not going to send you a VHS tape or a DVD or anything. I'm going to walk you through how to get started and what you need to do and what you don't need. So you can definitely do that. Also, coming up on Monday, it's a very exciting moment in the history of BS3 Radio, the second annual BS3 Radio Awards, which will be coming up Monday. It'll be on the BS3 Radio Facebook page. So BS3radio.com, Facebook.com/BS3 Radio. It'll be live there. We'll be giving out awards. We'll also be talking about our supporter of the year. So someone that's supported BS3 Radio throughout the whole year. And then also I have a show coming up tonight, which will be at 9 p.m. Central, and talking about a league. It's called the Creating Young Minds Basketball League, and they had a summer league. So I'll be in Vegas. So I'll be talking about that. And also we have a show called Unscripted that's on BS3 Radio. They'll be doing their show tonight at 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. They do a great job with their variety of shows and guests and things of that nature. So make sure to tune in tonight and on Monday. You will definitely enjoy it, and everybody will be dressed in their formal Sunday best. So it should be fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Thank you again, guys. It was an honor and a privilege to have you on. We're just so excited about what the Lord is doing in your life, and also professionally and also educationally. And congratulations going back to school. But we always end with a scripture. And I want to end with Romans 8:28. It's very familiar, but I think it's very fitting for what we've been discussing here today. And it says, and we know that all things work together for the good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. May God continue to bless you and keep you, and have a blessed day. Have a great week.
All right. Have a good week.
I have to blow my co-host a kiss. Normally I kiss her right here.